Hello there. Welcome in to Mayday, a show about the show. See, took a little bit of a pause there, and I actually got it right for once. How's everybody doing? Welcome into the show. Very happy to be here, have you here. I hope you had a good 4th of July. For those of you that are in the United States, America, I did indeed have a good one. It was nice here. The fireworks were a little bit over the top where I was, but beggars can't be choosers. And once fireworks start, they're just going to keep going until they're gone. I hope everyone's doing well. Got a lot to chat about today. Oh my goodness, so many things have happened. So many fun things, so many head scratcher type of things, lots of news, lots of milestones, lots of people to break down and talk about and get into. I even have a new kind of approach to player breakdowns that I cannot wait to share with you. We're going to get into talking about All-Star Game stuff too in our second hour, so stay tuned for that. In the first hour, though, we have some pretty interesting stuff to chat about. Today is July 7th, 2025, and we are almost to the All-Star Game. I don't know what I was saying right there. We're almost to the All-Star Game. We are over halfway done with the season, and we got some special episodes coming up too to talk about all that kind of stuff. Trade deadline's coming, then the dog days of August, and before you know it, we will be in playoffs time, and it is gonna be absolutely electric. Trust me. Go check out that, if you missed last week's episode, go check out our video breaking down Rob Manfred's recent comments, or I guess unveiling of a plan of how he would like to approach the upcoming CBA negotiations that are going to take place after 2026. But we're not going to talk a lot about that. I had a thought to leave you with that I did not mention at that time, and I want to make sure I'm saying these things. I have a personal philosophy or a way that I see any given point in time, and I think it applies really well to how these negotiations are going to come and the way that arguments are made. So I am going to be covering it a lot, and I apologize if it's something you don't really want to hear about, but I just can't stand listening to people not be truthful or operate in how middle schoolers operate in the lunchroom. But always remember that the things that are normal, the things that you do, or the strategy you have for solving problems, they serve you until they don't. Okay? So nothing's ever set in stone. Anything can be changed, and you can always approach a problem in a different way. Even if it worked for 50 years, nonstop for 50 years, as soon as it doesn't, you got to be able to make an adjustment. So when we're going to hear a lot of like, this is how it's always been done. Just keep in mind, does this thing serve the purpose that it needs to serve? Does everyone benefit from it? And if the answer is no, then maybe a change needs to be made. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, let's just get into the old opening dialogue here because we got quite a lot to talk about today, and not the most time in the world. Actually, 2 hours is plenty of time. But you know what I mean, okay? So I want to talk about a brand new metric that has been unveiled, or maybe a suite of metrics that have been unveiled on Baseball Savant. I was talking with Mike Petriello, who is kind of one of the guys spearheading these changes on Baseball Savant, which, as any of you guys know who have been here before or watch any of my content, knows that I love Baseball Savant. I self-dubbed myself a Baseball Savant darling when I pitched. There are a lot of predictive stats, but also has a lot of like what's happening in space, and there's physics involved, and I'm a nerd. So this is the newest iteration, and we finally can put numbers to swings and how they move, and how they're done, and what numbers mean what for swings, and how I have some ideas and some ways that I used when I played to look at a swing and then make some assumptions and start to model kind of how you might be able to get that person out based on what you see with your eyes. This is a very traditional, very old school way. Guys it was always seen as elite. Like Greg Maddux has talked a lot about this. John Smoltz is another guy. Like a lot of pitchers have talked about this, that they were able to read swings or get information from the way that the hitter was swinging at their pitches. And most of the time that was, fouling off a pitch that was really good. Usually tells you they're looking for it, or they're late or they're early, and you could usually tell based on where the ball went or how they react, right? That is all valid. That is all super valuable, especially if you can do it in real time. But if you layer in like some basic statistics that are numbers based with that understanding, you could really learn some interesting stuff. And I'm going to be both as a hitter and a pitcher. And we're going to talk a little bit about the new things that are out there and how you might be able to use them to, one, enjoy the game, maybe make some predictions, because I always love watching the game and predicting what's going to happen. But also, two, pitchers and hitters out there, this is an interesting way of thinking about swings and what types of swings might mean what things, and maybe what kind of value you can get out of each number. We got 3 high-level numbers here. They are going to be swing path or tilt, swing tilt. They're going to be attack angle and attack direction. So I'll explain what all these mean as we move through this little breakdown here, but I'm excited. All right, so starting with swing path or tilt, that is the number one first thing on the Savant page. This is now a leaderboard, so you can go look at bat path statistics as a leaderboard, so who leads and what. Swing path or tilt shows the shape of a swing on its way to the ball. The tilt is defined as the angle of the bat over 40 milliseconds right before it hits the bat. So basically, the angle is changing because everyone's not just a straight path through the ball, right? You scoop, it's a 3D swing. So at times it can be steeper, at times it can be flatter. Depends on where in the swing you're hitting the ball, which tells you a lot. We'll talk about a lot about that. So they just choose the split second before the ball's hit. What is the angle there? And that is usually what the angle is on contact. I like that as kind of the window we're looking at. A higher angle is referred to as a steeper swing, meaning more of an uppercut, and a lower is a flatter swing or straight across. So prime examples of these guys in the past, like Josh Donaldson, flatter swing. He was able to kind of come through, not perfectly flat, but come through a little bit more flat through the zone. And the really good example that we're going to talk about a bunch of times today is Riley Green, who is the steepest swing in the major leagues, though he's having a very good year. So let's talk a little bit about what a guy having a steep swing versus what a guy having a flat swing, what would that tell a pitcher? Because if I know, I can see guys swing and I assume, yeah, that's flatter and that's steeper. And so some of the decisions that I make based on that stuff, just on my eye test, now I can say, is it actually really steep or is it actually really flat? Is there a number? So Riley Green is 45 degrees. This is actually him right here. So this is Riley Green's 45 degree angle is the highest in the league. 32 degrees is average. So the 2 highest uppercut swings are Riley Green and they are Freddie Freeman. But the tilt doesn't tell you everything to know. It just might point you in a direction. I think of these as I call them compass stats. They say, hey, this might mean this. Let's go check, right? So one of those assumptions I make with Riley Green are generally the steeper the swing, the better contact is lower in the zone. Basically, if someone has a super steep swing, they probably naturally hit the ball at the bottom of the zone or below better than other guys. For Riley Green, that is definitely true, and I'm going to show you in a minute. And so is that true for Freddie Freeman big time. These guys handle the bottom of the zone really well because it's so natural to get their barrel down there because of the depth of the swing. Unfortunately, that may open them up to fastballs, velocity up in the zone, because once you're steep, it's really hard to flatten. Flatten naturally gets to the top of the zone a little bit better. So let's talk about a couple examples on both sides of the spectrum, which I think you guys will find very interesting. So let's talk first about Riley Green. Does he crush low balls? The answer is yes. So up here you can see this is from the Savant. It's kind of small, but it says 45 degrees. Maybe we can make it a little bigger for you. There you go. So it says 45 degrees up there in the corner. That is the highest. He's ranked number 1. You can see there he is on the list. So this is his expected WOBA, that's what I call damage. It's how hard he hit the ball, what is expected to do damage-wise. And as you can see, quite a lot of red there at the bottom. Right here, Riley Green is hammering the ball down. Now, he's not struggling truly up per se, and there is some up middle, but you notice not a lot in the top of the top rail here. Because at that point you have to flatten your swing out, and that's just not naturally what he does well. He is also leading the league in strikeouts, which means he swings and misses a whole bunch. So yes, he is very, very productive, but he's also missing. So there are holes. So that's what I love about these sweeps. That's what I would assume. I would say, okay, a low ball hitter, he's good. He's probably good at going below the zone with you too. Meaning you got to get it down. You got to bounce stuff to get him to swing and miss at it, because he can go forever. He can go all the way to 90 degrees straight down with the bat and still feel comfortable. Those guys are really tough to get to chase low and get a swing and miss without them fouling it off or hitting it hard. Same thing with the line drive right over here. I added that in. Once he drops his head on these in the bottom, and it's funny, he's got a bunch below the zone too. Again, reinforces that assumption that a vertical swing might mean low ball hitter. Okay? Now, what about the inverse? What about guys with really flat swings? Do they handle the top better than low? And the prime example of that is the second flattest swing in the league is Alejandro Kirk. Does Alejandro Kirk handle the top of the zone? I'd say he does. And for a guy who's not very tall, he's about 5'6", for him to be able to flatten that bat out at the top of the zone means that he can probably handle velo better. But with the guys that have flatter swings, that means they don't handle the bottom very well. They can't go down there and hit the ball hard all the time. They might be able to foul it off, but it's not their sweet spot. Everyone has their sweet spots. Flatter swings tend to be up, and steeper swings tend to be down. And if you see a number on that list, the chances are there is some weakness one way or the other. So this kind of reinforces that idea that steeper and flatter have different strengths or mean different things, and those are pretty safe assumptions you can make. Riley Green was 45%. Now we have Kirk here at 24%, which is 8 degrees lower than the average. All right? So how would this show up, for example, in a scouting report? So anyone who hasn't seen my Sunday Night Baseball appearances on ESPN2, I would highly recommend you do. We're nerds, and we get to be nerdy with Kevin Brown and Petriello. That's where I was talking to him about this whole unveiling of the statistics. If you haven't seen it, I have a segment right at the top of the game, right before the game starts, called Trevor's X's, where basically I put up a strike zone with a heat map, and I put X's where I wouldn't recommend that person throw them anything. So we're gonna go Chris Paddock threw against Riley Green, and basically I build a scouting report with all these type of heat maps with xWOBA for all the pitches that move exactly like the guy pitching. So I make a profile for Paddock, and then I generate a report for all the hitters with Paddock stuff and how these guys have fared against guys who throw like Paddock or have very similar movement on their pitches for the last 3 years. That's how I do it. So here's an example of Paddock versus Riley Green. And this is what it looked like, okay? So yes, I know it's very beautiful, very branded. I put a lot of effort into this, guys. This is going on TV. So, you know, it's ESPN. I don't know what I can put on a thing and what I can't put on it. So I just try to go simple here. So Paddock throws the four seam, the sinker, the changeup, the curve, and the slider and the curveball, right? Okay. So I go, okay, Riley Green handles this angle right here. This is the big X. This is a small X, just because one X looked weird when I turned it, so I put two. These are both equally bad. It's just one smaller so it'll fit. But if you're noticing, this angle is pretty steep. So this lane right here is where we want to stay away from Riley Green. And if we're going to throw fastballs, you got to get it way up there. and you got to throw it 95 miles an hour because that's when his uppercut, if it's 91, his uppercut can still get to that. But if you're throwing 95 up here, he just doesn't hit that ball hard. And what did Paddock do? He threw him fastball, 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 changeup. And then about the third at bat, changeup leaked right into the middle of this X, homer. And he got him. So he threw it to the X and he didn't hit it. So knowing the steepness of the swing informs where these X's will be. So I go, okay, naturally I know this is how your swing moves through the zone. So I can assume this middle of the lane in the zone is where you're gonna hit the ball the hardest. It's funny, I also did this from Byron Buxton. We're gonna talk about that later when we talk about Tarek Skubal and his sequencing. But I did one for him and they have the exact same X's. It's just they're opposite hitters. So Buck hits up and away well, down and in good, because he's got a flatter swing. And Mr. Riley Green hits up and in, down and away from himself because he's got a steeper swing. So this is how this shows up when I make scouting reports. Next up. So that right there is tilt. That is a swing path, okay? Next, we have attack angle, okay? So this represents vertical, is the attack angle measures the vertical angle at which the bat is traveling as it impacts the ball, right? So that same 40 milliseconds, right as it makes contact with the ball, what angle is the bat going at, basically? So guys can swing uppercut. So if they're coming up on the ball, they probably tend to hit it in the air, or they top it and hit on the ground. It's probably extremes one way or the other. Flatter probably means more line drives if you're coming on more true. So there are a few ways that these angles kind of show up and are very interesting. It's also a timing metric as the attacked angle changes greatly throughout the path of swing. Like we talked about, like the angle is changing. The angle's always going to be changing. So but it's what is it when you're about to hit the ball or when you hit it? What is it at? And that can tell you a lot about the timing of the hitter. For example, if it's super steep, that means you're probably farther along the swing when the contact's made. So throwing something that's slower might be able to exacerbate that, so they'll be even farther out front, and maybe you'll get a miss. So if you see a super steep swing, slowing pitches down might help you out. If you see a super flat swing, velo might be a way to get it by them, okay? So that's generally what I think too. So this MLB average is 10. This is very interesting because we have a couple guys who have the highest average. And if you have a really high average steep swing when you're hitting, you might hit a lot of ground balls, or you might swing and miss at pitches that are up in the zone because you're trying to catch a ball like this while it's flying like this. That is tough to do. So the two guys that lead the league in the highest vertical attack, or the highest attack angle, happen to be Connor Norby and Eugenio Suarez. So let's check them out, okay? Let's see what this looks like in practice. So I just said that. Steeper angle could try to lift the ball. It could signify a weakness at velocity at the top of the zone, or it could also signify big differences in velo could also make it tough. So if you have one of those things, and I forgot to put that in here, but if you have one of those things, you might be able to get these guys out consistently. So let's see what this looks like in practice. On the left, we have Connor Norby. This is swings and misses at fastballs 95 or above. So velo is important here, guys. Guys that throw 92, at some point velo, like the location doesn't matter because guys can identify the pitch early enough that it doesn't really matter. But if you're throwing 95 or higher, which is above average, this is where this gets glaring. So these are both 95% plus, and Suarez has a good amount of miss at the top. I had a lot of success up there against him. And so did Connor Norby. These guys are both swinging at 19 degrees when they make contact, which means they're uppercutting like crazy when they make contact. Sure, they lift the ball. We know that Suarez, pretty much every hit he has is a home run, but he also is up there in strikeouts every single year because he struggles with fastballs up. And so does it align with whiff rate, how much they swing and miss? Well, it turns out it kind of does. Norby is in the bottom 14% whiff, meaning he is 14% the highest whiff rate And then Suarez is bottom 10% league. So they're both well below average in whiff, and they both happen to have very high attack angles on the ball. So if I was like, these guys have high attack angles, there's probably swing and miss at the top if I have velo. If I'm throwing hard, if I'm throwing 97 like I was in the middle of my career, that could be and I have ride, I already live up there, that could be a go-to, even if they know it's coming, they still struggle. Their swing just struggles to hit the pitch at all. Outside of a foul ball, you're not gonna see much more. And it turns out, it tends to be true, at least with the top guys. Now, once guys start to get more around the league average, then you gotta start pushing, pulling, figuring out in and out and all this stuff. So it's basically the guys on the outliers, the extremes, but they also tend to be some of the more productive guys and maybe in the middle of the lineup. So that's helpful to know. Riley Green and Suarez, for example. Okay? So, yes, they're up there in whiff. Yes, higher velocity they struggle with it because the attack angle is high. Now, if the attack angle were low, that might also tell you lateness, especially for people with steeper swings. So if you have a steep tilt on your swing and a low attack angle, it means you're not getting the barrel to where so you're late because you're not letting your bat get into the tilt it needs to get to hit the ball. So if you're late, you're also probably struggling with velocity. See how these kind of when you can envision it in space, it makes a lot of sense, and you can start to make assumptions as a pitcher going against a hitter. But hitters can also know this stuff, know that what they do well and how the bat is approaching the ball when they're the best, they can put themselves in position mentally with their game plan to make a decision. So the final statistic we have is attack direction. So this one, if you're looking down, it's either pull or go. You're either going oppo or you're either going pull. So now we had up and down, and now we have left and right. Okay. These are just angles. These are the three big ones. These are the big ones on the thing. So attack direction ensures horizontal angle at which, measures the horizontal angle at which the bat is traveling as it impacts the ball. Your pull or oppo, okay? And extremes in this side of things tell you a whole lot about how a swing might operate against your stuff as well. For example, by the way, this includes all swings, misses, hits, foul balls, everything. It's every swing. So if you tend to be pull, you tend to swing and miss and still be pull. So the value here is interesting. This is kind of how I translate this, okay? This is a signifier of when hands are breaking. So when you're swinging through and your hands turn over, this is the break point. So and that's when the barrel of your bat is traveling the fastest. So you're going from here to here, it's going from there to there, the fastest at any point in your swing. Okay, so that is when you want to hit the ball. You want to hit it right when your hands are breaking. The interesting thing is, when a guy is full pull, for example, Isaac Paredes is going to be the guy we use as our example, he tends to break his hands a little bit earlier than when he makes contact. On the other side, we have Nathaniel Lowe, who is way oppo. He tends to break his hands late, if at all. Joey Votto is like that, Joe Mauer was like that, and Freddie Freeman's like that to an extent, right? They don't dead pull, they keep their hands inside the ball, means they break their hands later. They maybe hit the ball and then break their hands once contact is made. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but there are some interesting things about what you do regularly, how late you break your hands, and then what you can do with that as a pitcher. So here were some of the assumptions that I make based on the two guys I just mentioned. When you break your hands early, meaning if you're really heavy pull, a bigger discrepancy in how fast the pitch is will make a big difference. If you're oppo, they might struggle with velocity. Once again, same thing with the vertical tilt or the attack angle. You might also struggle based on if you're late or if you're early. So Isaac Paredes, I was like, okay, we know, anyone who knows about him knows that he loves to pull the ball right around the foul pole. And that's what he does. He yanks. He's 10 degrees pull, which is the most by like 3 degrees. It's like a ton, okay? But I was like, okay, at what velocity, because he's not a big swing and miss guy either, he makes a lot of contact, but what velocity does he start to get, his whiff rate start to go up fast? And I found that it's about 82 miles an hour or lower. So righty sweepers, lefties that don't throw as hard with like a splitter or something, or a big curveball that drops below the zone, that has a later break, like a nice, firm 78 curveball, that type of velocity, he just breaks his hand so early that he might just be out in front of it. It's just very hard. He's naturally out in front because he wants to pull it. So he's either going to be foul or he's going to miss it. Okay? On the flip side, low, he's late. We'll talk about him in just a minute. Let's finish up with Paredes here. So here's Isaac Paredes. This is him overall swing and miss rate for the last 3 years on all pitches. Not a lot there, especially in. Because again, he breaks his hands early. If you break your hands early, you can get to stuff in, especially hard stuff. So he hits fastballs really well. But what happens when the pitches are under 82 miles an hour? Tons of swing and miss. This is the only red you see for swing and miss for him at any pitch type. And it just happens to be slow stuff. So if you were able to speed him up, if you have a velocity like 95, 96 where he has to think about that, and then you throw something super slow, like Brett Honeywell's sweeper or not sweeper, Skubal, or like the airbender or something. If he has to think about that, he just really struggles to not break his hands early. So that is where your swing and miss might be. That is a way to get him off of things that are going away from him. So it's very interesting that was noticeable. And that is very interesting to me. But then we have Nathaniel Lowe. So he goes 8 degrees oppo instead of 10 degrees pull. Guys with later hand braking might struggle with velocity. And how that manifests is usually fastballs up and away are tough. The harder they throw, the harder it is to get that pitch because you can't reach and keep your hands behind the bat very easily. So if you're reaching out and trying to keep the barrel back, you're more likely to be late and get swings and misses. Also, if you throw in, if you don't break your hands early enough, you'll probably not get to the barrel out there. You'll get hit on the hands a lot and you won't hit the ball as hard. So we have 2 examples of that. On the left, we have exit velo. The lowest exit velos he has are in. Interesting. Where's the swing and miss on 95 plus? Up and away. And you notice there's no miss here. He gets there because he doesn't swing and miss a ton, but he just doesn't hit the ball hard. So these are both open if you throw hard. The problem is the harder you throw, the bigger these spots get and the lower the numbers go down. Obviously, guys who throw harder are more successful usually, but this is how this manifests. I would go and say, hey, this guy tries to go up all the time, is in open. Where's the miss at? Those are the things I think about, so this is how that would manifest, and it just so happens Nathaniel Lowe is late. He's also a very good hitter. He is. But like when he is getting beat, he is getting beat by velo late. And he is late because of the nature of his swing. So that's how that would look in the scouting report. I would think, okay, I know that this guy goes oppo a lot. So these are 2 assumptions I can make and I can check on before I go on pitch, which is what I was doing at the end of my career. The only problem was everything hurt. And when things were going wrong, I can confidently say it was because my body wouldn't do it, not because I didn't know what to do. So this is everything that you would see on the website right now. If you go look at the leaderboards, they give you a visualization. So you can see all of these are being shown on the sides, the attack angle, the vertical swing. It takes you through the whole thing, the attack angle. And then you can see literally a mocap of him swinging. So you can see where all these things are moving. Now, we didn't cover these, but this is really interesting too. This is how fast the bat's moving over time, which is sick. So you can see if they're hitting the ball at peak or if they're hitting it too early or late, which I thought was awesome. I wish that stayed up. Probably could play it again. I should have had it pause. But then you also have like how hard they swing too up there too. So super cool. So if you want to go check that out, go to baseballsavant.com. The leaderboard and then bat tracking is all on the side there, and you can see everyone who leads it, and all the visualizations are attached to their profiles. Or if you want to look up an individual, you can go to their thing, their profile, and there's bat tracking as one of the menus when you go partially down, and then all this stuff is there as well. So I love when we can, I love it when we can make assumptions based on what we see, which is the old school way, which I see a lot of people railing against, kids these days. But what we've been seeing, like this guy's this type of swing, and now we have numbers that create the visualization. I have a number that I can attach to that swing that I can remember when I'm out there pitching. And if you're watching at home and you learn a couple of these tips and tricks, like, I don't know much about this hitter, but I do know he's an upper set swinger, I do know he's a flat swing, you might be able to notice when a pitcher doesn't know that or does know that and how they're pitching them. And I just always thought that was a fun way to watch, so I hope that this breakdown makes it more fun for you to watch as well. So I'm excited to see this kind of connect. I'm a big fan of old school eye test and then reinforce it or challenge that thought with the analytics behind it. They're not different things, they work together. And I can't wait to see how teams, players, and media use this moving forward. And on the horizon, just to give you a little taste from Mike Petriello, we are going to be getting a statistic. I don't know if it's going to be called this, but something like a flail. Who gets the worst swings and misses? And we'll be able to attach that to our nastiest pitches, which I think is going to be sick. So stay tuned. When that comes out, we will do a breakdown of that. So backtrack and go check it out. Let me know in the comments if this is helpful or if it's stupid and you hate it and you hate that I talked about it and you wish I would get a life. That's valid too. Hurtful, but valid. All right. So let's get into, we're going to get into the news in just a moment. We're going to really drive it home. But first, you got to hear from the boys of Foul Territory and a nice little sponsor.
Kratz, we talk about HelloFresh a lot, but in the same fam is another option for you if you're looking to go on your little wellness journey or you're very picky in terms of what you're looking for ingredients-wise. You can go Green Chef this summer.
And I can heat and eat because this summer I've got like 3 days where I'm not doing anything. And I'm sure those are going to get scheduled with something. Let's give me something super quick that I can heat up. The whole family's eating healthy and they're full.
Menus change weekly, 80-plus dietitian-approved weekly meal options. Green Chef makes it easy to find those meals to fit your lifestyle, so go check it out. FT fam, there is an exclusive offer. Make this summer your healthiest yet with Green Chef. Head to greenchef.com/50territory and use code 50territory to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. That's code 50territory at greenchef.com/50territory.
Go to greenchef.com/50territory and use code 50territory to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months with free shipping. Thank you for Green Chef for sponsoring this episode of Mayday. All right, let's get into the news because I want to. All right, let's get into some heckin' news. Quite a few things happened here going into the final week of spring training as we get ready. News. I'm going to try to develop my skill at getting quickly through these things and just hitting them. All right?
Let's get into the news.
Big news. Join the Substack. Substack is up. Our producer DK will be writing a weekly article. We have a newsletter that goes out every week, keeping you appraised of everything that's going on in our world over here at Mayday. So go subscribe to that. And then we're going to have a bunch of paid only type content, extra videos, extra things. I'm going to do breakdowns like I just did with other things. We've got a fun one in the works that I'll be filming this week that will only be up there. You'll always get it a week early up there anyway. So we appreciate your support monetarily if you can do it, but if not, it's free. Everything, pretty much 85 to 90% of the things on the website are going to be free at any given time. So thank you guys so much. Use the QR code or go to imtrevormay.com and sign up. Thank you. And also the schedule for all the shows, it will also be on the Substack under show schedule. So if you're wondering what day the show is that week, because we have some weird stuff moving around the next month or two, it's up there as well. All right, straight into the news. Here we go. In the news. I don't know what that was. Bo Bichette homered and scored, deciding runs. The Blue Jays beat the Angels 3-2 for their 8th straight victory. The first place Toronto Blue Jays. Bo Bichette homered and scored, the deciding run to lead the Blue Jays to their season-high 8th straight victory in a 3-2 win over the Los Angeles Angels. The American League East leading Blue Jays improved to 52-38, sweeping a homestand of 7 for the first time since 1994. Ooh, that was the strike year. Ooh. And second in franchise history. So they have not rattled off a longer streak since 2015. They were pretty good that year. And they sit 2 victories away from having the highest win total they've ever had before the All-Star break with 6 games go, which is honestly pretty surprising and awesome. So congrats to them. Brandon Woodruff's back. Woo! Love it when this man is pitching, and somehow, after being gone for, I believe it was 651 days since he was on a major league mound, he threw 6 innings, struck out 8, walked 0, and only gave up 2 hits. 2 hits and 1 run, which is mind-boggling. He threw 70 pitches in 6 innings in his first outing after not pitching since Vietnam. So congratulations to him. That's pretty awesome. It was his first start since September 23rd, 2023. That was also my 34th birthday. Not that that matters, but I always like to point out when it's my birthday. So, though that wasn't a happy day for him. I don't know. I thought it was cool. Okay, so we have a quote from Pat Murphy talking about Brandon Woodruff having him back. No one could have expected 6 innings, 2 hit ball, or whatever it was. Locked in, Pat. Love that. He was sensational. Any worries anyone had about this guy being able to pitch for his future or whatever, he was right on it. Location, stuff, everything. I couldn't be happier for him and his family. What it means for the future, it's special. I agree wholeheartedly, Pat Murphy. Congratulations to Brandon Woodruff. Baseball is better when you are on the mound. Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger lead the scuffling Yankees as Judge hits his 33rd home run, and Bellinger pulled off a pretty insane double play, which we're about to see in a moment. As the Mets, they beat the Mets 6-4 and avoid getting swept. The Mets need those wins as well. So 2 teams that have kind of scuffled as of late needed to win a couple games against each other and have. The Yankees, who tumbled from the AL East lead by losing 16 to 22 games, had matched their longest losing streak of the season. They stopped the Mets' 4-game winning streak, which they also needed. So I mentioned that play. Check this play out. Bellinger comes in on a Soto low line drive, makes the catch, and then makes a hard throw, doubling up Lindor at first, who seems to be absolutely stunned that just happened to him. That was a great play. You know, you got to give love where love is deserved. And also, Mr. Mark Leiter Jr. really needed that to happen. So the clapping, I'm with him on that one. All right. The Tigers beat the Guardians for the Guardians' 10th straight loss, putting up 6 runs in the 10th inning behind homers of Trey Sweeney and Riley Green. And things have not been going well in Cleveland for a lot of reasons, more of which we will talk about in a moment. But the Tigers win the game 7-2. Javi Baez continues to hit, and Terry Skubal punched out 10 without giving up a run, because of course he did. They almost won it. They were up 2-1 in the 10th when Emmanuel Clase, pictured over here, accidentally threw a wild pitch, had the game tied, and then all hell broke loose. They're 9-22 since June 1st and have fallen to 7 games back to the final AL wildcard spot. All is not well in Cleveland, Ohio for the Guardians right now. And all is not well in Washington, D.C. either. They fire their manager, Dave Martinez, who you'll remember recently had the comments where asked if the coaching staff had anything to do with the team's struggles as of late. And the answer he gave was, it's never the coaches. So, what are we doing here? We'll go back to large. Sorry, I did that. So things aren't going well. The last place Washington Nationals fired President of Baseball Operations Mike Rizzo as well, who was above the GM. So the 2 guys who led them to the 2019 World Series are no longer with the team. When asked for comment, Rizzo said, "The sun will come up tomorrow. That's the job. I had a great run, navigated the ownership group for almost 20 years." Navigated that ownership group for almost 20 years. Woo! That's spicy. Sounds like, God, I did such a good job working with those idiots. I love that. I love that, Mike. Just give a little lip. You're going to suck as you walk out the door. That reminds me of someone else. And by the way, that was sent as a as a text to Barry Surlaga. I just wanted to say it because this is the craziest spelling of a last name I've ever seen, but I just wanted to say it. So thank you for that. Mike DiBertolo, the Cubs Senior Vice President and Assistant General Manager, is now named the interim GM on Saturday night, and he will basically take over all of the same things. So, including the draft, which is happening in a few days, and they got the number 1 overall pick. So good luck. Hope you got your plans lined up. All right, real quick, let's hit these last two. Speaking of the Guardians, Luis Ortiz, subject of one of the more interesting gambling accusations I've ever heard about. So if you aren't aware, the right-hander is under investigation by Major League Baseball after a betting integrity firm flagged a pair of pitches that had received unusual gambling activity. Oh my God. So what they're trying to say is they think, or they're looking into whether, and this is alleged, so we got to be very, very clear here. So I got to make sure I do this correctly. Allegedly, what they're saying is he might have been throwing a specific result on a pitch because they looked weird, the pitches looked weird, and the results and the number of people betting on those pitches was also weird simultaneously. So we actually have the pitches here. We'll take a check on them in a minute. But betting integrity firm IC360 sent an alert on June and sportsbook operators regarding Ortiz, whom MLB had placed on non-disciplinary paid leave through July 17th. So basically, he's on leave right now until they figure this thing out, get it sorted out. They said it was 2 first pitches, and one was a ball. Was selected innings to be a ball or a hit batsman in both games. So these 2 pitches were basically overwhelmingly bet on being either a ball or a hit batter. Either one works because a guy can get hit, and it, you know what I mean. You guys know. So they got flagged, but I want to hear what you guys think about these. So let's watch them. So the first one here was the first pitch of an inning in the 3rd inning against the Angels. One of the weirdest pitches I've ever seen. It almost looks like he tried to do it, but this next one mechanically looks very obvious to me. So he doesn't follow through like that, and he made sure he bounced him because you don't want to accidentally throw a strike if you are trying to throw a ball. Those were like, if I'm not an expert, I have nothing to do with this, but I understand why red flags went up on those. Those were pretty interesting looking pitches. So I'll let you be the judge. We will wait on information that will come out about that because it was very just interesting, the timing of the whole thing. But it's our first. It could be our first, if proven, and if it did happen, it would be the first time anything like this has happened since Pete Rose, which is just crazy, but also not remotely surprising based on how betting is now. So we'll see what happens with that. And last, Yu Darvish. He's back, or coming back. Will be back soon. He is set to make his debut today against the Diamondbacks. He turns 39 this year. He's aiming for 75 pitches, and if he comes in sharp, which he tends to do, Yu Darvish is never not sharp, frankly. He could be a huge pickup for the Padres to get kind of back on the horse and make a little bit more of a run for that wild card / winning that division. So Yu Darvish is coming back, and once again, just like Brandon Woodruff, baseball is better with him in it. I don't know why that pause was so long. All right, we will get into our main story of the day in just one moment, but first, the guys want to tell you something again.
Hey, let's do a little player spotlight thanks to Arena Club. AJ, give me a player this season that you think is underrated and you might want to try and grab his card.
James Wood. I don't know that he's underrated, but Washington Nationals superstar in the making, and the first slab pack I ever opened had him in it. His rookie card, and the value is only going to go up and up and up. And I'm not going to sell it quite yet, Scott. I'm going to hold on to it because after he continues to hit big homers and put up the stats, make all-star teams, it's going to get more expensive for someone to buy for me.
This is his first full season in the majors. Keep that in mind. I think he's underrated. He's on a Nationals team that's meh. Not getting enough attention.
I
He
don't know
might
if he's
hit 40
underrated.
homers.
When he makes the All-Star team this year, they're not going to be underrated.
That helps. He's been intentionally walked 4 times in a game. Anyway, if you want to try and find a Wood rookie card, go check out slab packs on Arena Club. And right now you can get 20% off your first slab pack. Or if you just want to go with a card purchase, go to arenaclub.com/FOUL. Use code FOUL. If you buy, sell, trade, collect, go for it.
Get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. Nothing like digital pack openings. I don't know. I love that stuff. I love that stuff so much. If you guys are around my Pokemon era, you know. All right. Now, time for our main story, and we are going to be commemorating someone that means a lot to the game of baseball. So let's just get her right into it. This is me explaining. Rapsodo and Hawkeye all tell you this information. Paul Skeens has added 2 pitches to his arsenal going into 2025. No! Don't do it! Don't!
Buckle up. It's time for some May-splaining.
Clayton Kershaw. Will there ever be another one? Let's talk about it, because I don't think there will, but for a lot of reasons. So recently, Clayton Kershaw went out and got his 3,000th strikeout. Congratulations, Clayton. It's been quite the ride. The guy is amazing. He's always been amazing, and we're going to talk about just how amazing he has been. So he in his last inning the other day got a slider looking for the last out of his outing to walk off, and then had like a 35-minute standing O. I'm pretty sure it was actually 6 minutes, but either way, very impressive. But we have a lot of great reporting, namely much of which is from the legend Sarah Langs over at MLB.com, the stats wizard herself. So we'll be using some of hers. But basically, I want to break down Clayton Kershaw's career by the numbers, all the amazing things he does, because it's one of those baseball references pages that once you go there, you can get lost and be there for a very long time. And then we want to figure out, we're going to ask some questions, see if anyone will be able to do some of the things he did again. This might be the last time we see some of these things, and I want to know what your opinion is in the chat or in the comments, okay? So first, let's start with rankings all time. And I want to do this while we are sitting here and looking at his flippin' stat line, because that is stupid. Almost 80 career WAR. We have 216 wins, 2.52 ERA, which is very good, and we'll talk about how good in a moment. Almost 2,800 innings and 3,000 strikeouts with a 101 WHIP, and that is with not the strongest last few years. So amazing, but literally by the numbers rankings all time, he is first in career ERA among live ball era starters with a 2.52. He is fifth all time in career WHIP with a 1.0135. 20th career in career strikeouts, is the 20th ever to 3,000. Second strikeout to walk ratio all time with a 4.34. Third in strikeouts per 9 with a 9.7. Yes, that is higher than Nolan Ryan. That's almost an entire, it's more than a strikeout higher. See that coming? Didn't think so. He is also fifth in ERA plus with a 155 career. 11th in game in game win and loss percentage. So win-loss percentage his whole career is 697 or 69.7%. He's tied for fifth in a total of Cy Youngs with 3. And he is first all-time in consecutive ERA titles since 1962 when he won 4 straight. And that's just some of the things he's ranked top 20 all-time in. I'd say he's probably a Hall of Famer. Don't you think? We already mentioned his statistics for his career. But I also went on to Baseball Reference and looked up my favorite stats, splits. So I'm going to tell you all the things about Clayton's career that he did best based on where he was, what time of year it was, what month it was, so on and so forth. So these are my favorite statistics from Baseball Reference. He was best at home. He has a 2.27 ERA, a 10.9 K per 9, and only allowed 1,088 hits in 1,454 innings in Dodger Stadium, because that is the only team he ever played for. He also has a career 0.984 WHIP at home. So pretty good in a park that is notoriously hitter-friendly. He was always the strongest in the second half. He has a career 2.31 ERA as opposed to a 2.77 on the road, which is also better than most guys. Like the 2.77 on the road is better than Pedro Martinez's career 2.93 ERA. So that puts it in perspective. July has historically been his best month, and he just so happened to get 3,000 strikeouts in July, which I think is awesome. He is 35-9. So it's the only month he ever had less than 10 losses, and every other month had 15 or more, which is interesting. He has a career 1.93 in July with a .931 whip. That's crazy. He also won all the battles he was supposed to win. That was something my dad always said when he was talking about pitchers. So a career against 7 to 9 hitters that were not pitchers. So there's no pitchers in this. There's no pitchers. 7 through 9 hitters hit 189 against him career with an anemic 525 OPS. He also was really good at getting ahead and then just putting them away. Hitters hit 143 with a 410 OPS against him career with 2 strikes, including full counts. That's just as good as I've ever seen. I was really good in that situation as well. He is way better than me. Almost 200 OPS points better. So I can't even get near him with my best thing, which sucks. Anyway, he was clutch. He allowed a 197 career average with runners in scoring position, which is much lower than his career. His career average of 211, I believe. So that's also interesting. He's a strong finisher. His best inning in a game, the 8th. As a starting pitcher for the 8th inning to be your most productive inning is crazy. Hitters only managed a 179 average against him and a 482 OPS in the 8th inning. He also threw in the 8th inning 87 different times. So he got to the 8th 87 times in his career. Also, pitches 76 plus in an outing were his toughest on hitters. He had the slowest triple slash of any other 25 pitch segment. So it like goes 1 to 25, 26 to 50, so on and so forth. And the high one from 76 on was his lowest production for a hitter, for hitters. He's also a rival killer. He performed the best against the San Francisco Giants, sporting a career 2 flat with 413 Ks to 70 walks in 404 innings and a .915 whip. Giants fans, you are aware of this, I am sure. Clayton Kershaw owns the Giants. He was also a road monster. He loved pitching at AT&T in San Francisco, of course, having a 1.69 ERA there career. But he also loved Miller Park in Milwaukee, now known as American Family Park, I believe, or American Insurance or something. He threw a crisp 1.54 ERA there, averaging 7 innings a start for 10 starts, which is crazy. Last couple here, A.J. Ellis caught him the most and was his best battery mate. Kershaw threw a career 197 with A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Speaking of behind the plate, Kershaw must love having umpire Greg Gibson on the call. In 8 games with Gibson, Kershaw was 7-0 with a 1.6 ERA in 56 innings. That's an average of 7 innings and 1 out. He allowed only 31 hits while striking out 72 with a .746 whip. Greg Gibson, you must really like the man, as do we all. And those are my favorite splits. So if you're ever wondering any of that stuff about a pitcher or a hitter, where they were best, what park they played in, go to the splits page on Baseball Reference. I love it. I hang out there all the time. I'm such a nerd. Oh my God. You know what? I'm a nerd, so you guys don't have to be. So Sarah Langs also gave some of her most interesting numbers. These are the strikeouts, specifically by the numbers. In his career, Clayton Kershaw has struck out 959 different players. He added 3 new players for his 3 strikeouts in his last game. They were all his first time striking those guys out. So could he possibly get to 1,000? Probably not, but he might. The guy he struck out the most, Brandon Belt, 30 times. The team he struck out the most, the Giants, 413 times. The pitch he threw for a strikeout the most, Slider, 1,314. That's crazy, even though I believe he's known for his curveball more. That's very interesting. but that also is the lowest strikeout pitch, 743, and then he struck out 899 guys with the four-seam fastball, and he's a three-pitch pitcher, which is also really interesting. So that brings us kind of to the crux of this, the questions we want to ask. Will we ever see some of these accomplishments again? So will we see another pitcher strike out 3,000 with the nature of careers and how they are shorter? Will we see it? Well, this is the current leaderboard of current players with the number of strikeouts behind the three that are over 3,000 that are pitching in Verlander, Scherzer, and Kershaw. We have Chris Sale, who is at 2,528. So will Chris Sale get there? I believe he will. He is getting up there a little bit in age. He is 36 or 37. So he's still 400 and something away, but I think that he will get there if he plays 2 or 3 more years. At least, I think he will. Garrett Cole, I think, is pretty likely to do it too. He is a little bit younger. He's 35. Is he 35, 34, 35? He's got 5 more years on his contract. For him to throw 750 more strikeouts, I think he will be. And he only had his first Tommy John, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a phase 2 of Garrett Cole. It's very good. But these other guys, Charlie Morton, he's not going to get there, though. That is very impressive. Yu Darvish, he's, like we said, he's turning 39 years old. He's getting older. And Kevin Gausman, he's 1,200 away. Like, I don't think those guys are close. Are there some young guys that might? Sure. Paul Skeens is of the world, you know. But, like, Doug DeGrom's not going to probably get there. He's farther down this list. I think of only the two that are like, I think Sale's likely, very likely. I think that Cole is pretty likely, and then I don't think anyone else. And I don't really know. I don't really know if a guy like Paul Skeens will be able to pitch long enough to get there. We will see. But like I said, I mean, you got to strike out 200 guys 15 years. That's so many strikeouts. That's so many. So it all depends on length of career. Outside of those two, though, I would not be surprised if 2,500 becomes the new 3,000, as they say. Second interesting thing, he's only the fourth left-handed pitcher to hit 3,000 Ks. You notice, none of these guys are lefties, and I believe there's no lefty until we get to like 14 or 15 on the list. And so for us to see another lefty at 3,000 strikeouts, very unlikely for me. I don't see teams guys just don't get an opportunity to stay around that long unless they are absolutely dominant. So maybe, I hope so, but in my opinion, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. Number 3, Kershaw joins Walter Johnson and Bob Gibson as the only pitchers with 3,000 more career strikeouts for one team. Now, Sale's pitch for different teams and Garrett Cole's pitch for different teams. So in order for one guy to have to pitch long enough with one team to get 3,000 strikeouts, it's hard enough to get 3,000. I just don't think teams sign guys like this anymore. I don't think we're going to see careers like this anymore. Guys are going to go in free agency. It sucks. But who knows? There are always unicorns. Frankly, Clayton Kershaw is a unicorn too. So another guy could come along and be a unicorn and just completely flip everything upside down. But right now, there's no real candidate in the running for this. But who knows? Maybe Paul Skeens will pitch for the Pirates for his whole career. He's not left-handed, though. So, again, the premise stands. So I'm not that hopeful for that one either. Number 4, he has three pitch strikeouts. He has 608 pitch strikeouts. That is an ungodly number. I believe he's third in the wild card era behind Max Scherzer and Randy Johnson. And so you need 2 things, swing and miss ability and incredible command. And I just couldn't tell you who would be in that list. Now, Paul Skeens, I think, has a good chance for this one. So I do think this is probably the most likely to happen again. Over 600 pitch strikeouts. But we'll just have to see. I want to know what you guys think. Let me know on all of these in the comments, by the way, and in the chat. I really want to know. And then last one, will we see another 300-game winner? Because right now, Verlander is leading with 262. By all accounts, he's probably not going to get there. Kershaw has 216. He probably isn't going to get there either. Will we see another 300-game winner? I don't think so. If of all of the ones that we have talked about so far, the one that's least likely to happen is probably probably the 300 wins, and he's not even in that list either. So, in conclusion, Clayton Kershaw is part of a dying breed, right? And careers are getting shorter. Guys are throwing harder. And the days of 20-plus year careers, especially for pitchers, are probably behind us. Now, this can be really sad. A lot of people can say that's worse. The game is worse because of that. But at the same time, like, we're getting more infusions of young guys and more exciting players and higher level play more often too. So it's a trade-off. I just think it's a new era of baseball. I think there's both. We should look back fondly and we should give these guys their due and be very excited for them and their achievements. But we should also be okay with the game changing and those rules changing for what greatness is. We've had lots of different eras. We distinguish with the live ball era and the dead ball era and the wild card era. The game changes a lot. We make these asterisks a lot. This is going to be another one. But Clayton Kershaw may be the last inductee in the Hall of Fame that is in that old school group of statistic darlings. Though he's still pitching, so a lot of this stuff might happen. But we're going to see a distinct change. And so I like to be positive about it, think back and be like, Clayton Kershaw, once in a lifetime talent, amazing pitcher, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. But what that means in the future will be different, and it will find ways to have novelty and enjoy that. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Clayton Kershaw, thank you for your service. We may not have another Clayton Kershaw, but we sure as hell are going to have a lot of new pitchers coming through the system that were inspired by him. So congratulations on 3,000, my man. Okay, I'm going to take a break, and I'll see you next hour. I'll see you for the hour 2 over on Trevor May Baseball. Foul territory, see you later. I know I went over a minute, but we will see you in just a moment. So get your water, get up, go to the bathroom. We'll be back in 2 minutos.